Wales is being changed before our very eyes. You can see it in our shops, hear it in our streets, see it on the skylines of our larger cities and towns, and you're paying for it in terms of lower wages, overstretched schools and health services, higher unemployment, terror threats and scares, and rising taxes.
And the other parties are all in favour of this mass immigration multicult madness. In the Assembly, they happily spend our money to make the transformation of Wales happen even quicker.
Isn't it time we elected some whistleblowers instead of more tax eaters? The other parties are all to blame. They've all signed up to a scheme dreamt up by pro-asylum groups and the taxpayer-funded Race Equality Commission to keep a welcome in Wales for asylum seekers and economic migrants. Their pledge not to make such things an issue in this election is a full frontal attack on your right to a democratic choice. Labour, Plaid, Lib Dems and Dave Cameron's Conservatives, up and down the country, their councillors and AMs oversee the spending of your money on welfare and translation services for immigrants. To give just one example, these taxpayer-funded booklets telling newcomers what they can get are being translated into 14 different languages, including Arabic, Kurdish and Somali, in Wrexham alone. Primary school children from Welsh families in places like Wrexham are coming home speaking Polish. This is madness, and the other parties must all share the blame. They're all in favour of this fundamental transformation of Wales, with taxpayers' money, but without our consent. You can't have missed the huge changes in population that have taken place in the last few years, and the pace of change being forced on us is speeding up all the time. What will our Wales look like in a few years' time? Will it still be familiar? Will it still be essentially Christian? Will it be safe? Will it have any room for our children? Will the languages in the playground still be English and Welsh, as they should be? If you want to see into the future that the other parties want for Wales, then look at places like London, Birmingham, Bradford, Manchester, once English cities which now increasingly look like Somalia, Iraq or Afghanistan. Is this really what we want to see happening in our Wales? We know there are huge numbers of people like you agreeing with the Welsh BNP when we say enough is enough. The BNP says that Wales cannot stand the pressure caused by the other party's multi-cult project. We've already had enough homegrown problems, some of the worst poverty and deprivation in the UK, overstretched and underfunded public services, low wages, and the continued decline in the Welsh culture and language. Mass immigration can only make these problems even worse. There's no point having a Welsh Assembly if the Welsh people are increasingly being replaced in our own homeland, as we've seen happening to our English neighbours. We believe that Wales should have the Assembly, just as England should have an English Parliament, because decisions should be taken at local level rather than hundreds of miles away from the voters in Westminster or Brussels. But there's also no point expecting to get any sense out of the present third-rate, politically correct tax eaters down in Cardiff. They've shown their real agenda with their cosy, keep-a-welcome stitch-up with the pro-asylum lobbies, trying to deny voters a chance to reject the multicultural destruction of our old familiar Wales and smearing anyone who opposes mass immigration as racist. What we need instead is to send some politically incorrect whistleblowers down to Cardiff. People who, as well as working hard for their constituents, will also kick up an almighty fuss to expose and stop the Labour, Lib Dem, Tory and Plaid tax eaters whenever they try to use your money to pay for their multicult transformation of Wales. They're taxing us to death to turn the future into a foreign country. You can help stop them by voting BNP on May the 3rd. Because we're standing a full slate of candidates in all the regional top-up lists, just 10% of the votes will be enough to elect Welsh BNP Assembly members. If you're one of the many people like you agreeing with this short broadcast, this means you have a real chance to make your vote count and to send a British National Party AM to Cardiff to blow the whistle whenever the other parties try to blow your taxes. You can read our full manifesto for Wales on our website at www.bnp.org.uk/Wales. But in simple terms, the British National Party pledge to you is this: to put local people first every time, and to blow the whistle whenever the other parties use your taxes to do anything else.